Good evening, everyone. And it's wonderful to have you all in this session organized by the Institute of Environmental Professionals Sri Lanka to commemorate an important day for Sri Lanka, which is the International Day of Forests. I think the International Day falls on the 21st of March, and we are celebrating it early. And it is a great privilege for us to welcome you all to this event. Now, some of you may know, some of you may not, that the Institute of Environmental Professionals Sri Lanka is an umbrella organization for environmental professionals in the country, and it serves as a network that works on policy as well as practical issues concerning the environment in Sri Lanka. At the moment, we have something like 1,000 members, and of which about more than 300 are actively working in the field, contributing to the policy formulation and other issues concerning the environment. Now, this event is actually being held early because, as you all know, that we are having our annual general meeting and light sessions on the 27th of March. And this event is actually one of the events that are leading up to this 27th EcoConvergence event, which is a flagship event of the Institute. Now, there are many events going on this month because this is the month of March has been declared as the IEPSL month, and there will be many more sessions actually before the event happens on the 27th. Actually, the topic is of great significance to Sri Lankans because, as you are aware, we are a nation that has a good forest cover, and we have something like 29% of forest cover, which is protected at the moment. And we have pledged in accordance with the nationally determined contributions to conserve at least 32% of the forest cover in the country, and attempts are being made by the state and the private sector and all other sectors to increase the green cover in the country. Now, the topic is of relevance because more than 5 billion people around the world use forests and non-timber forest products for food, medicine, and livelihoods. And therefore, I think it's important because we also have indigenous communities, we have rural communities, particularly in the rural areas, which are using forest food as a part of their sort of livelihoods. I think it is an interesting topic, and we have some eminent panelists here who are going to be talking to us on this very important area. And it is my privilege really to call upon our moderator, Senior Professor Hemanthi Ranasinghe, who I don't think anybody needs any introduction, who has been working in this field of forestry for the last 3 or 4 decades and is eminently suitable to moderate this session. So on behalf of the Institute of Environmental Professionals, I call upon all people who are here to take up membership if you haven't, and also to take part in the annual sessions that are happening later this month, so that you get we will be having an annual technical session, which is preceding the annual general meeting. And of course, we'll be having our ceremonial session with keynote speeches by very eminent people in the sustainability arena. Without taking too much of your time, I would call upon Hemanthi to take over and to moderate this very important webinar for the Institute. So it's over to you, Hemanthi.
Hi, thank you, Shirani. Yes, today is a very important day. As you very rightly mentioned, that forest or trees are really, those that really keeps the nature's balance and just ensure our quality of life. So the International Day of Forest, especially on the theme Forest for Food, really relates this one. So we have three very eminent speakers to talk about it, starting from Mr. Nishant Edrisinger, who's the Conservator General of Forest and who had really done a lot of work, not only on forest, but forest and biodiversity, of whom I'll talk a little later. And also Mr. Nalin Singha, who's the Assistant Resident Representative of the Food and Agricultural Organization, who's really doing enormous work in sustaining the ecosystems, including agriculture, forestry, and other related landscapes. And also Dr. P. Vidarasena, who was a research officer and also Deputy Director of Research in the Department of Agriculture, and also eminent scientist and a promoter of the nature-based solutions, traditional knowledge in natural resource management. So we really have an excellent panel here. And also we are happy to have an audience who are very much interested on the topic, not only from Sri Lanka, but even from outside Sri Lanka. So we have all gathered here to see what these forest trees, can provide our sustenance, not only just economic benefits, but our sustenance, our world sustenance, which is really the most important thing today. So without further ado, I will call upon Mr. Nishant Edrisinger to do his presentation. So how we will do this round will be that every speaker will talk as a PowerPoint presentation for 15 minutes, one after another. But if we have really burning questions, one or two, we can always ask them. And then the second round will be the questions. We will pose some questions. And please put your questions in the chat box so that I will post those questions to the relevant panelists, and they'll be getting an opportunity to answer the questions as well as share their viewpoints on the matter. So let me first introduce Mr. Nishant Edrisinger today. What? Yes. So Mr. Nishant Edrisinger is the current Conservator General of Forest of the Forest Department in Sri Lanka. And he's a seasoned professional with extensive experience in sustainable agriculture, value chain development, and project management. He holds a master's degree in sustainable agriculture and has worked with organizations like GIZ, the FART, and the World Bank. And also, he's a seasoned forester, has been in the Department of Forest for a very long time, and has been instrumental in preparing this forestry sector master plan also, which is really a very important document, a blueprint for forest conservation in the country. And although he is a forester, he really holds very close to his heart the biodiversity, because he's very much interested in ensuring biodiversity to sustain life in forest and related ecosystems. So his presentation is also along those lines. So we will invite Mr. Nishant Edrisinger to make his presentation now.
Thank you very much for inviting me to this important session. So first I would like to share my presentation. Can you see my slides? Can you see my slides?
Yes, yes, we can.
Yes, we
Okay.
can see it now.
My topic is forests and food. Even though we are talking about forest and food today under the International Day of Forest, we have talked about the food and forest long before. Way back in 1996, we have been considering the forest and food. And first, right. The food security. The food security exists when all people at all time have physical, social, and economic access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food that meets their dietary needs and food preferences for an active and healthy life. This is this is how the food security was defined by the FAO. So going to talk about how forest can contribute for the food security and how the policy and legislations of Sri Lanka has supported to provide food from forests. Some people might think that forests are very restricted. People are not allowed to go to the forest and collect food. But it is not like that. So there are a lot of provisions in our act and our policy regarding the food and forests. The forests support food security in two ways. One is direct and the other one is indirect way. In direct way, forests provide food and improve livelihood. Forest can provide food so that people can get food from forest, and forest can improve livelihood of the people so they can ensure their food supply. The other one is the indirect way, that forests have the supportive functions of uh, for food production. I'm going to explain those supportive functions as well. Even though that function do not provide directly food, but it support food production. Mainly from the we can take from food from forest, that is called non-timber forest products. Non-timber forest products are products of biological origin other than wood derived from forest, other wooded land, or trees outside the forest. Around about 14 million people in the world live in natural areas, depend on natural forests and home gardens to supply wide range of NTFPs. So non-timber forest products, when you talk about the non-timber forest products, there are various forest products: firewood, medicinal plants, rattan, bamboo, edible plants, mushrooms, and branches of mangrove trees for fish aggregates. So, first I would like to discuss about the relevance to the food and forest to the policy, legislations, and our forestry sector master plan. National Forest Policy on wood and non-wood forest products. Under this National Forest Policy, the policy says efficient forest product utilization, development of competitive forest industries based on sustainable wood sources, and manufacturing of value-added forest products will be promoted. That's our policy. So policy support collection of forest products, including non-wood forest products. Then the legislation, the, the legislations, the Forest Conservation Ordinance under the regulation has given provisions to collect non-timber forest products from reserve forest to local communities in sustainable manner. So that includes the food. The legal provision is there to provide, to, to, to permit people to collect non-timber forest products from the reserve forests. And forest sector master plan also identified the importance of non-timber forest products. The objective of the sector is the system for sustainable collection, production, and value addition to NTFPs established to improve the livelihood and food security of the local communities and to strengthen the national economy. That is the one objective of the forest sector master plan in non-timber forest product sector. So we are going to establish a system to collect, produce, and evaluate 20 FPs in a sustainable way and to provide food security and to improve the livelihood. So that legal provision that we have in our forest sector master plan, we have identified that as an objective. And our expected outputs of the forest sector master plan in TFP sector, the supply and demand resource base, and sustainable extraction of important NTFP studied and assessed. The resource base of important NTFPs improved. Sustainable extraction of NTFPs from forest, common places, and private lands ensured. The processing technique and new products that bring add value to the NTFP developed. The conservation of threatened NTFPs, conservations of threatened NTFPs will be protected. So these are the main expected output of the forest sector master plan in the NTFP sector. Then in addition to that, not only Sri Lanka, and globally also, global biodiversity framework under target number 5, the target is ensure sustainable, safe and legal harvesting and trade of wild species. So to achieve this biodiversity, global biodiversity framework targets, we have to ensure the sustainable, safe, and legal harvesting and trade of wild species. That is the target. So in Sri Lanka, because Sri Lanka, we have the legal provisions for harvesting. So therefore, that is legal harvesting, and we ensure the sustainable harvesting. So that we can achieve this global biodiversity framework targets number 5 with our legislations and our plan of sustainable forest management and sustainable NTFP management. So in addition to that global forest goal 2, it also mentioned about the food and non-timber forest products. The global forest goal number 2 says enhance forest-based economic, social and environmental benefits, including by improving the livelihood of forest-dependent people. That means to support food from forest, our policy, we have our policy, our legislation support the policy, and international targets and global forest targets also support food and forests. So therefore, we are in line with the global targets as well. And there are different, I would like to show some different forest products that we can get. One is Garcinia. That is a very good forest, non-timber forest products. And it is a food. So we can, you can see those trees mainly in wet zone forest areas. The people, rural people, local people, they use the Garcinia fruits and they collect Garcinia from forest areas. And this is another thing, the berelia. It is also, you can see those berelia in wet zone forest, especially in Singaraj and surrounded forests. And like this, you can see these are the seeds. And hull. The other important one is hull. That's also located in wet zone forests. And this is the processed hull. And the very well, the one that is available in our forest areas, the very well. But unfortunately, the problem here is collecting and transporting of veneval is prohibited because that is under threatened endangered list of, that is under that is under restricted list of the fauna and flora protection ordinance. Even though there are large number of very well, it is not, you can't transport those very well. And another thing is the kitul. This is the one, the kitul tree that is also available closer to the forest areas and even within the forest. And this is one of the, this is the jack. We have mahogany and jack mixed plantations. So from all these plantations, we can allow people to collect those timber, non-timber forest products under a permit. Then mushrooms as well. And this is another important forest product, that is a brush park. These are the fish aggregates in lagoons. People cut mangrove trees and put like this in the lagoon, and they can, after 1 month, the people can collect more fish. That is sustainable method of fishing, but it is unsustainable uh, in the forestry point of view, because they have to cut mangrove trees to put in the lagoon as brush parks. So now we are trying to find alternatives for these brush parks. We have tried the other trees than mangroves as an alternatives, but still we are studying about that. The critical issues in the non-timber forest product sector is the lack of data, knowledge on resource base, and sustainable extraction levels of NTFPs in forests. The other one is overexploitation of NTFPs. The other one is inadequate protection of threatened NTFP species. The poor post-harvest handling and lack of value addition mechanism to NTFP and potential loss during the harvest. Effective extension mechanism on collecting, aggregating, processing, and marketing of and using of NTFPs. So these are the main critical issues that we have identified. But I would like to say, with the support of the Food and Agriculture Organization of United Nations, Sri Lanka office, we are trying to answer these many of the questions. We are trying to develop the sustainable extraction levels for different kind of NTFPs, and we are trying uh, to conserve threatened NTFP species, and we are trying to uh, uh, support to improve the post harvesting methods and value addition for NTFPs. So I think Mr. Nalin Munasinghe will explain more about that project, and we are doing it with the support of FAO. And another way of providing food from forest is shifting cultivation. That forest, the shifting cultivation produce vegetable, maize, cowpea, and fruits. So that is done not in a traditional way now. Earlier, the fallow period is little bit long. Now in Sri Lanka, the fallow period is little bit short. It is sometime it is only one season, not one year, only one season. Even for in Yara season, they follow the land, and in Maha season they do cultivation. So that is because of the short uh, fallow period. People have to apply more fertilizer and chemicals. The policy is, we according to our policy, traditional cultivators are allowed, but in addition to that, there are some large scale cultivators who do large scale cultivation in these forest areas. Now, therefore, these forest areas now have become shrublands, not not the dense forests, but we can allow traditional cultivators to continue. And indirect support for food production is by the forestries, pollination, water regulation. First, natural enemies of pests in forest, habitat for wild relatives of improved varieties, so act as a gene bank. And in addition to that, mangrove provide nursery for small fish and improve the fish yield. So these are the indirect way that forest uh, support food production. And I think we manage our forest areas intact, and we maintain 29.1% natural forest cover. So I think, and we have legislations to sustainable harvesting of forest product from the forests. So uh, I think we are now in that process. So I think this is a very good time to talk about the forest and food. Thank you very much.
You can unshare the presentation, Nishanta.
Okay.
Thank you very much for that excellent presentation, Mr. Nishanta. I think when very rightly, when forest word is mentioned, we invariably think there would be restrictions to enter, and the Forest Conservation Department is policemen. So, I mean, those thoughts come into play. And also whether the forest, the livelihoods are supported, whether the policy allows for people to enter the forest estates. But there would be, even now, there would be some questions along those lines, which we can take up after we have made all the presentations, just two more. And actually, you very rightly mentioned about the support given by the FAO, and especially the FAO office in Sri Lanka, in maintaining the forest in the larger landscapes to ensure sustainability of our world. So Mr. Nalin Munasinghe will talk about it a little bit more, but the amount of work that FAO is doing can't be justified in 15 minutes, but I'm sure you'll try to give a glimpse of it. So Mr. Nalin Munasinghe is the Assistant Resident Representative of FAO, and he began his career in 1993 and has gained experience across both the profit and non-profit sectors. And he holds a bachelor's degree in agriculture and a master's in economics alongside postgraduate in marketing qualifications from CIM UK. So he spent his first 15 years of his career in FAO and various UN agencies, followed by key roles at the World Bank, Oxfam, Australia, and IUCN Sri Lanka. So in 2012, he joined the global team of FAO headquarters in Rome to assist FAO's culture change process, while earning recognition as one of the 50 most impactful green leaders at the World CSR platform in India. So as a trainer and lecturer, Nalin has educated thousands, and he currently leads FAO's program in Sri Lanka and the Maldives as the assistant country representative. So without further ado, I will invite Mr. Munasinghe to talk about, the contribution of FAO in ensuring forest and food security.
Right. Thank you so much, Professor Hemanti, for the introduction and inviting me, to join this very important webinar. I hope you can see my presentations. At the same time, you can hear me well.
Yes, both.
Great.
Yes, go ahead.
Good. So first of all, let me thank the IEPSL first of all, of inviting me and all the officials, representatives, members. Thank you. And I also really, sort of welcome and also recognize Mr. Nishant Singer, the Conservator General of Forests, and his very, very informative presentation. Always interesting to see and witness presentations on forests. I really like it, and I'm sure you as well. So when it comes to me now at FAO, I'm just trying to talk a little bit on how FAO is, looking at on this entire food security and landscapes together. I might not touch base just for us, but overall, landscapes of Sri Lanka, since, FAO is already working on a number of ecosystems. It could be, from landscapes to seascapes, actually. So it covers the entire spectrum. So I will just, take a few minutes to take you all through a couple of, say, principles, policies, approaches, at the same time, some of the projects we do, so that, we can discuss and try to answer some of the questions if you have at the end of the, session. As we all know, at FAO, we are always trying to see whether we can, contribute to the global mandate of ensuring food security and promoting sustainable management. Especially in this case, I would like to take these land management principles here. As we all know, there are a lot of things that we can always talk about when it comes to, say, food security. But at the same time, we all need to understand how important it is and how important this topic is. It is not only in terms of, say, environmental protection, sustainability, but also the sustainable development of a country. As Mr. Nishant very correctly mentioned, as per the 1996 World Food Summit, FAO brought this definition in terms of food security, where overall it ensured, food at all times for everyone in the world, where no one would left behind. And in FAO's food security, actually the definition and also the way of our working, we have 4 pillars always we try our level best to address. We need to make sure that the enough food is available for all in the world, and they have access to this food physically and economically, right? And at the same time, there are, we try to ensure that utilization is always like, say, very rich. And it is, addressing proper nutrition, safety, or the food safety, dietary well-being, etc., etc. Because it is important that we utilize food in, with these important parameters. And finally, also to make sure that this food is available in a long run, so that people can be benefited with rich and nutritious food. So basically, it is the stability, the sustainability of food availability. I would like to take everyone's attention to one of the latest information on the table that I've got on the national requirement of major food crops, productivities, and its land requirement, issued by the Socioeconomic Planning Center of the Department of Agriculture. I have just, highlighted the paddy, you can see. Now, these are major crops of Sri Lanka, as we all know. But if you take just, see paddy, the current productivity, it is just, say 4.3 metric tons per hectare. If you increase this into 5, metric tons per hectare through various, different techniques, including technologies, good practices, gap technologies, you just can imagine the current land requirement to feed the country, which is over 1 million hectares. Obviously, you see, you can bring it down to, at least 0.94 million hectares. So similarly, if you see all these, crops and the current, productivities and the real, say potential that we can go for, if you just, improve the productivities, you can see the large number of amount of, say lands that could be basically cultivated or maybe marginalized, could be saved, could be utilized into better high value crops. And in this sense, only FAO has started working on crop diversification, especially to identify marginal paddy lands, which are not that productive during, say, yellow season, where you try to convert them into high value cash crops, which brings more benefits, more cash, more income, and more food actually to the country. So these are some of the major principles, I guess, that we need to understand in terms of bringing different landscapes in order to support food security of a country. But we really face huge challenges today, starting at the global level down to the country level. We Sri Lankans, we have started, facing number of challenges coming from, say, climate change due to the population growth, or maybe, say, demand for different resources, especially the natural resources, fossil fuels, you name. Now, these are all challenges for us to find the best path for the national level food security. And obviously, even right now, you all know we are facing quite challenges when it comes to rice productivity, even say some other, say even tea, even coconut, you all know. Right now, coconut sector, we have different problems, especially, in terms of demand, supply, and, say exporting value-added products. But still, we are not in a position to balance, to even to contribute to the national food security in that sense. Therefore, it is important we look at these landscapes in a more sustainable, but at the same time, a more economically, socially, friendly manner. And this is why the concept of sustainable landscapes have become one of the key in the whole world, and FAO has taken it up at its top level when it comes to our major projects and programs. So balancing food production with ecosystem conservation has now become one of the key priorities of all global players. And that is where FAO has now started working on the sustainable food systems. And very recently, sometimes some of you are well aware that under the Jeff 8 cycle, FAO has worked with the government, especially with Ministry of Environment and Ministry of Agriculture, to develop a big proposal, or we say a large-scale proposal, to improve the food systems and utilize the food system approach in selected 3 river basins in Sri Lanka. So therefore, FAO's role is further clear here, which we really need to address these issues and to consider ecosystems as an integrated approach rather than going into say separate or silo-based approaches. And when it comes to landscapes, there are a number of say different what you call foundations, I would say. So at least we at FAO, we believe in order to get into sustainable food systems, it is important to look at the health side of it. And we also need to look at the smart land and water aspects of it. Obviously, not to forget the biodiversity in all these ecosystems, and hence to bring an integrated landscape approach. Now, these could be considered as the foundation of a robust, sustainable food system. So the latest project that we have just developed with the government stakeholders, including others, we have addressed these 4 pillars in that, and we believe in case, say, if we can, start quickly. Obviously, we are waiting for the final approvals from the Jeff Secretariat for the, to start the project, but we can simply try out these principles in this program. Now, just to answer this question, why landscapes or the landscape approaches, would matter, obviously, it brings a holistic solution, as I told you, so that, you really need to address the entire value chain, entire value chain system or the structure. But at the same time, we need to understand, right? I mean, value chains, it's not new to Sri Lanka. We have been working on value chain enhancements, developments, for decades. But now, with the challenges that I mentioned earlier, each and every step, each and every player of a sustainable value chain has to be looked at in a different angle. Therefore, we need different approaches. Obviously, you really need to get into comprehensive land management techniques, strategies with more and more stakeholder engagement, accepted, I'm sure. And at the same time, you need to bring all these aspects into the common equation, whether, suppose you are getting into an agriculture program, but obviously you really need to address the biodiversity, the soil, the water, the, say the catchments, the forests. Otherwise, you will not sustain, you will not achieve the long-term sustainability. And finally, but, very importantly, the people who live on them, benefit, on them. Starting from farmers, say the policymakers, even the communities, even the, say, partners like private sector. This is very important for us to bring all parties together and understand their key roles and just trying to bring added value from those, stakeholders. However, there are a number of challenges where we are facing when we are trying to do this food system approach or implement these food system approaches, right? Because there are different players. For an example, I can bring Mr. Nishant now. His role, his main responsibility is to protect our forests, the green car, the natural, environment. But at the same time, when you go to develop a food system, certain lands are needed for agriculture. So how do we balance this together? How do we, address these together? And this is where the sustainability comes on board. This is where the systems come on board. And we have the master plan, and now we have the addendum, as we all just, viewed earlier. So that's true. But at the same time, we really need to see how best we, implement the plans that we have, right in our hands there. So this is why it is important for us to understand these challenges so that people would take or play their roles much better than earlier, and with an understanding, with informed, knowledge or given data, so that they would take correct decisions always. So I would like to bring these, important areas such as deforestation, soil degradation, water scarcity and pollution, productivity decline, and obviously, as I said earlier, the climate change impacts and vulnerabilities. Obviously, yes, if we are not still, work as one team, one, system, obviously, we may not be able to bring this systems approach to all work that we do here. So this is one reason why FAO in its latest, 5-year strategic action plan that we directly address these 4 betters: better production, better environment, better nutrition, and finally better life for all with no one leaving behind. So obviously, so all our approaches, technologies, even including digitalization, we try to bring all these 4 aspects addressed in all our approaches. And that is where we believe the economic and social, or economically, socially trusted sustainability can be brought over. Now, some of the FAO strategies and also say maybe approaches for both food security and sustainable landscapes, I have just mentioned here, even though this is not limited at this moment, but I have picked a couple of mostly or widely utilized in the world. So if I bring some strategies for food security first, you can see, obviously, we go for sustainable agriculture practices, including GAP and CS gap. Actually, we have now gone a further step. It is not just good agricultural practices, but also climate smart good agricultural practices. This is very, very important. And obviously, to find more and more options to bring the rural and the smallholder, more entrepreneurial and more tech savvy, so that they understand their role better and save better and earn better. And at the same time, when it comes to landscapes, we always go for these SLM, right? Sustainable land management approaches, or now we can call it integrated approaches. And at the same time, agroecology and biodiversity conservation in most of our project interventions. And yes, to go for sustainable forestry and land restoration programs. And as Mr. Nishant very correctly mentioned, we just initiated a project with the FAO's TCP assistance and support in order to further analyze and make it sustainable. What? The non-timber forest products that are coming out of forests of this country, to see how best we improve them to bring more value into the national food security. Right? So we would do a very good assessment initially, and we would try to understand the products and how could they be improved further, add value further, and trying to enrich the benefits to starting with the people, communities living in the forest buffer zones, boundaries, and then to expand them into the other communities in the country. So the project just started, and we are working with the forest department and related stakeholders closely. Globally, we have a number of programs. You may have heard these, like globally important agricultural heritage systems, the sustainable land management techniques, the action against desertification initiatives. These are all FAO programs started to support, food systems, or to bring food systems into, and land systems, food systems and land systems together in achieving global food security. So globally, these are the projects, but in Sri Lanka, we have a number of initiatives under these areas, like, environment sector, agriculture and livestock sector, fisheries and aquaculture sector, and even, we are addressing national level nutrition and food safety as well. So number of projects, since I don't have time, I might not go through each and every, but maybe during the question and answer time, if you ask anything, I can answer. But this is how we have, basically tried to bring here. So my last 3 slides, basically I have put some of the projects just to, list that out. So these are all that we do here in Sri Lanka right now. So overall, what we would like to say that to work with more with you partners, basically the government, private sector in particular. In fact, even very recently, I had a quick chat with Madam Yasaratna about more inclusivity and bringing the members of this forum and even Biodiversity Sri Lanka into the food system approach. This is very important, and without private sector, I don't think in this country in future that you can sustain food systems or the food production. There are a lot of players, we need to bring them up so we can always discuss and be prepared for it. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, thank you for inviting me. Within the given time, I feel this is sufficient at this moment, but I'm prepared to talk more on the request. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nalin. You can unshare your presentation. Okay. So I think it's very encouraging to listen to these 2 presenters talking because we feel very confident that food is something which we all need, not only humans, but all the beings on earth. That's one of the very fundamental requirements. But, forest of the trees, which is also an equally fundamental basic resource, is supporting it. So it is just, there's really no limitations. I mean, they are on the same side. So, I mean, that is the beauty of this whole discussion, that we are all doing the same thing. And it's very encouraging to note that we have international support by way of United Nations FAO, in ensuring that our trees, our forest, and our agricultural land, and also seascapes are protected, or actions are being taken in a very concerted way, in a very participatory way, taking all the place on board to protect them for our own benefit, so that we are all talking the same language. So thank you very much again. And our last speaker is also adding on to this discussion in a very, very subtle way. Is none other than Dr. P.B. Dharmasena, and he'll be talking about the traditional knowledge in this wonderful integration of trees and food, or forest and food. And if I may give a small introduction, because actually I can't do justice to him in giving this very small introduction, just like all the other 2 panelists. But it's my role to do so. So Dr. P.B. Dharmasena holds a PhD in geography and has a very strong academic background in agricultural engineering and soil science. He has over 20 years of experience as a research officer and deputy director at the Department of Agriculture, Sri Lanka. And since 2006, he has worked as a consultant for various international organizations, including FAO, JICA, UNDP, specializing in ecological agriculture, watershed management, and climate-smart agriculture. He's also a visiting lecturer in Rajaratnam University in Sri Lanka, and I think he's very well known in connection with the tank cascade systems and the maintaining the tank village system, because I think he's authored many books on this age-old but wonderful traditional system that had been in vogue in Sri Lanka and even now. And I know that there are attempts, including FAO, to protect them, to conserve them, and also to upscale them, and also reap the magnificent benefits of them to the modern world. So, okay. So I would like to invite Dr. Dharmasena at this point to share his thoughts on this.
Thank you, Professor Hemanti. I think this is the last presentation, and we will expect detailed discussion after that. I'll share my, yes. I hope you all can see that.
We can see you, Dr. Dharmasena.
Okay, thank you very much. And now you can see the title here, Traditional Knowledge Systems for Forest Agriculture Integration. So that's something different from the others. Talk about some topics in relation to forest, but this is more towards traditional knowledge systems. I just want to tell at the beginning, man lived in the forest. Man utilized the forest. Man conserved the forest. Everything within the forest. Later on, man came out of the forest and tried to look at the forest. And now we are trying to conserve, protect, and utilize on a sustainable basis. So that is the theme that I am going to tell you. A very simple explanation. Sorry. I am going to touch in some aspects of this this topic. I start with the evolution of small agricultural societies from foraging society to agrarian society. Then I will talk about traditional knowledge systems, some examples, especially I want of talking about traditional tank village ecosystem and indigenous agricultural knowledge for efficient water management, how it looks like, and what kind of practices that they have done to make the water management more efficient. Then traditional strategies for seasonal water shortage, because very often these people are experiencing water shortage. In some cases, excess water, which will cause flood. Finally, I will end up with some project called Food Security and Human Health. We have extracted some recommendations from that particular study at the beginning. So this is the foraging society. In prehistoric age, generally the argument is people develop strategies always to face challenges, leading to their social strength. So with that, foraging society, we believe that the Vedas have been the first inhabitants of the island. They were hunter-gatherers. So hunter-gatherers, they had some challenges like food, water, shelter, protection from wildlife. And what they did as strategies, they did hunting for food, then gathering fruits and all other food items. Then they have lived in the cave, and sometimes they wanted to have stone tools. This is the outcome of this particular societies. They build up some beliefs like unseen powers and some practices to need the requirement for their livelihood. When we say that, we found from Kitulgala Belilena evidence, human occupation is far long as early 45,000 years BP. And the humans had different stages that archaeologists have excavated, a lot of evidence from there, but they believe that the Vedas are the first inhabitants in Sri Lanka. Second one, pre-agrarian society, where they have practiced subsistence agriculture. The challenges they faced, still wildlife threats and natural disasters, especially cyclones, flood, drought, epidemics, etc. Then also external invasions. This is not from other countries, but within the societies, there are some different groups, so that they have built up some strategies. One is farming. Then they have some practice of rearing animals, sharing their excess food with others, and some they have come across with crude implements. They have developed their disciplines as team, then customs and traditions. Subsistence agriculture. The value of that is mixed cropping, and also varieties are not much improved, and they did not expect any kind of surplus yield. Some tools they have developed. Generally, the production of crops for their requirements, and they don't expect high yields like what we do here. They low yields, they are just satisfied with the low yields they are getting. Third one, agrarian society, traditional agriculture, and the traditional knowledge that we are going to talk about. There they had the problem of competition between different groups, and sometimes competition for food and water. So they wanted to have a leadership, and they wanted to take this away from place to place, transport, and they have to assure their food by practicing agriculture. And also, for a certain extent, they have gone for industries and trading. So finally, they have built up culture, technology, and politics. Traditional agriculture is something different from subsistence agriculture. This is now they have gained a good knowledge, we call indigenous knowledge, then traditional tools, and they utilize natural resources, and they depend on natural biological fertilizer, biological pest control, and sometimes they believe on unseen powers like cultural beliefs of farmers. However, it is noteworthy that still at present, about 50% of the world population is practicing traditional agriculture. This traditional knowledge, some key areas are, it is obvious that agriculture and irrigation, we had very long and proud history on ancient irrigation systems, then indigenous farming techniques, and they have a good knowledge on soil, and they wanted to identify soils and select crops according to the soil conditions. And also they did the rain-fed cultivation, we call Chena cultivation. That is also one kind of agroforestry system. Then they have done healthcare, traditional medical systems, healers, then culture and arts. They have a very nice administrative system within the village or within the cluster of villages. They have Rala leadership. They have different Ralas. Gamarala, that's the village headman. Then Pattirala, who is specialist in livestock. Nakatrala for special times. Kapurala for puja and rituals. Like that, there are a cabinet within the village, but they are specialists, not like ours. They are specialists in that particular subjects. Then architecture, traditional village planning and architecture. Then rituals and arts, according to their religions, literature, rituals, and martial arts too. Cultural heritage, ruins of ancient cities, Polonnaruwa, Anuradhapura, Sigiri, etc. And festivals for different events and also rituals. One important part is that this traditional knowledge includes biodiversity and environmental conservation as the knowledge base. There are things like this examples. One, on the top of that, we like to appreciate the agroforest system, Candian home gardens. Then the next one is traditional tank village ecosystem. So those are living people within the forest like. Then food preservation technology, grain storage structures, Atu, Abyss, and other storage structures. Traditional water management. There are something which we are not much familiar, but they say Harahan Koti, Diakata Pahana, Katahoro, Visokotu. I will explain some of these things. And also, they had to face some natural disasters like water shortage, drought, and they wanted to adapt that to the present climate or weather. Then they used different strategies like Kakulama, Vetma, Taul, Govitan, etc. This Candian home gardens, that is, we have different characters. One is biodiversity, high plant diversity, because it is intensified agroforestry system. Then it will provide a lot of services, ecosystem services, especially food production, timber, wool, and medicinal resources, as well as some regulating services like water retention and soil fertility. Then crop genetic diversity. They have vast arena of crops and species. Sometimes we call land races, so that it is a good repository for genetic diversity and availability of wide range of food and other resources. Although we are now practicing intercropping, it is a character of this particular Candian home gardens. Different crops are grown together supporting to reduce the impacts of pests and diseases, improve soil fertility, and diversify the harvest. You know that when we have a mixture of crops, you get different root depths and different stratification, so that the sunlight can be shared with all these crop species. And one of the typical management system is they use only family labor, and it ensures the sustainable use of resources and the preservation of traditional knowledge. Then food security provides relatively uninterrupted supply of food products, increasing household self-reliance and food security. These practices have been adopted for a long time with the changes taking place in socio-economic situation, ecological situation, and sometimes it meets cultural needs, demonstrating their adaptability, change in conditions like climate, and sometimes they may face some other problems like natural disasters. They have their own local language, local knowledge. The management is based on local knowledge and traditional practices passed down through generations. So they are experts in managing this particular Candian home gardens. And also it provides some kind of income and employment for the local community. And it has some cultural values, significant cultural and social value, reflecting the relationship between people and nature. Always they live in harmony with nature, so that they didn't want to destroy the natural resource like forest. This is traditional tank village ecosystem. I think it is very familiar to you, because for last 15 years, it has been utilized by different researchers and planners, so that you'll be familiar with that. But the problem is, if you go around the country, you don't see that all these together in one place. They have China lands here in the catchment, and it is surrounded by forest. And tank is there to get water from the catchment, and it is clean, crystal clean water, because of they have a forest built upstream and downstream. Upstream one Gasgomana and downstream is Kattakadu. So that they get grass meadow here to filter the all water coming from tank catchments, even though China is sometimes producing some sedimented sediment flows, it will be filtered here in the Perahana. And there are some others like Gangoda, that is hamlet, is surrounded by Tismambe and forest cover. And even though Velia, that's a paddy field that is sandwiched between Landa and Tismambe, those are forest lands. So we can say that all the system, tank village system, is covered by forest, and people use the forest as a buffer zone, as to get a lot of medicines, wood, vegetables, fruits, foods, etc. So this is a very typical landscape where we have about 15,000 tanks in form of tank cascades. And when you look at this one, tank ecosystem is there to protect the whole, not only people, but also the water. There are services, ecosystem, which will provide services like provisioning, regulating, supporting, and cultural. All are there. Now, for example, provisioning, they have materials from Kattakadu to make some cottage industry items. Then some other materials like timber, fuel wood, farm implement, household implement, etc. Consumables, they can consume wood, fruit, vegetable from Katta, Kadu and Gaskomada. So those are plenty of opportunities there to be utilized by the people. And also medicine, biopesticides, animal feeds are also derived from this particular ecosystem. And when you say regulating services, they can regulate drought, flood, cyclone, and epidemics. So these are the things that we have to think of when we are having some kind of planning to develop this kind of minor tank ecosystems. We'll have to take care of all these utilization and resources that we are having. Sometimes very rare medicinal herbs are found in these areas. Then supporting services, those are the services that will help to sustain the system. For example, Disbambe, Gangoda, Landa, Mitri, they provide nutrients to the paddy field. And there are habitats like Kattakadua, Gaskomana, Pirahana, Pautawala, because flora and fauna are in coexistence in this particular system. And also one of the important part is that this particular system creates opportunities for pollination, food and nutrient security, biodiversity conservation and maintenance. And culture. When you go to this place, your mind will be so peaceful, and sometimes it is good mental satisfaction you get when you see this particular situation. And this agricultural landscape will create a lot of recreational opportunities for tourists sometime, maybe not foreign tourists, but at the same time, local tourists can learn, even students can learn a lot of things. And we have sometime, this flowering trees are not only during one season, sometime where you don't get any kind of flowering everywhere, but in this particular ecosystem, you will get flowers. Then spiritual experience and sense of place, natural heritage, spiritual sense of belonging, traditional knowledge, and associated customs that somebody should learn and do research on this and try to restore the ecosystem. And there are some other devices that I can bring up. One is that how they can distribute flows among different land areas. Now in paddy fields, you will get different land lots. If you say that Karahankoti is the one device that the water coming from sluice will be distributed according to the areas, and finally once you close the sluice, the whole areas will be meeting the requirement, water requirement. So that is the wisdom that we have without knowing about Weir formula. They have done it. So that we have to see that one kind of cognizance, how we can get it from this and try to devise structures which are really suitable for our conditions at present. Then Katahorowa is another one. We have Katahorowa. There are different pieces of this Horo sluices, and you can remove one and release this water to the paddy field. One means one kata. So when you take one kata out of this sluice, you will find a volume of water which will be released into the paddy tank. So this volume of water will vary from elevations, so that you get different volumes at different kata. So they have marked this one in a nearby rock or tree, we call Diyakatapahana. So that is the wisdom that we have in water management in this traditional system. And also they are facing always different strategies in form of water shortage. They have thought of having strategies to remove the disaster impacts from the crop field, especially paddy field. One is Bethma, that is redistribution of plots of land, small plots, because of the water is very small in tanks because of the less rainfall, so that they will be satisfied with the small land plots, and they will take whatever that they need during drought periods. The other one is they have to do regular maintenance to avoid disasters, especially maybe sometime tank structure is not that much strong to keep water, and also it will lose a lot of water through evaporation, so that they have to do regular maintenance to avoid disasters. And Taculama is the dry sowing. They have to advance the cultivation if they know that the drought is on the way during Maha season, so that they do Taculama. They know that in September, they can predict, they can forecast the seasonal rainfall variations. If you get low rainfall in that September month, that is Binarakaluva, then you get more rains in Maha season. If you get more rains in from Binarakaluva, then they will not expect much rains during Maha season, so that they can plan it, whether they want to go to Chena cultivation or go to paddy cultivation or both. Then the last one is Tawul Govitana. That is tank bed cultivation. They have a good, strong bund across the tank bed to prevent the sediment coming from the catchment, so that they can utilize the tank bed, upper part of that, for temporary cropping. That is called Tawul Govitan. That has been banned in Sri Lanka, but still you can see that when you go to Giant's Tank in Mana, you will see Tawul Govitan is taking place still. So we have done a good study for especially the kind of services that we will get from tank ecosystems, and also the total tank clusters we call the cascade systems. So I'll just go through these recommendations, which will be of particular importance when we are going to set up our policies in future. One is policies and regulations are required for the biodiversity conservation and sustainable use interventions. Second one, interventions should be done to conserve and restore the village tanks with the involvement of multi-stakeholders. That is, partnership is important. Then farmer awareness and provision of necessary technical and infrastructure support. Plan and implement. So we'll have to work together with farmers because they have their own knowledge, and a lot of traditional knowledge they have gathered, and they are keeping that for next generation, so that they are experts in that. And we can plan and implement programs which promote the traditional and indigenous knowledge in their food production systems. And also we can conduct research to mainstream indigenous knowledge in conserving and popularizing traditional land races that will result in implementing effective adaptation action on the ground. In case of rice, you know that we have 2,442 land races at Plant Genetic Resources Center, Ganuru, they have collected. And We'll have to provide farmers necessary awareness and inputs to enhance popularity of organic and local grown food. It will take some time, not a sudden change we need, but slowly it will be grasped by, captured by people. Programs should be carried out to build knowledge and understanding of native agriculture and food systems and help promote native communities' innovative ideas and best practices. Programs should be conducted to transfer the traditional knowledge in food agriculture, food culture using novel behavioral communication techniques. Promotion of local traditional agriculture and local cuisines can be used to promote agrotourism, ecotourism, and cultural activities. Still, we have not yet initiated any kind of tourism programs in these areas. Action has to be taken to provide access to better medical facilities to vulnerable groups such as elderly, adults, and school children, and awareness and behavioral change communication actions must be taken. So these are the 10 points that we express as recommendations for future planning and implementation, and also formulation of policies. Okay, thank you very much. I don't know whether I got time so much. Anyway, thank you, Professor Hemanti, and also thank you for this organization, Environment Professional Sri Lanka, to provide this kind of opportunities to think about and talk about traditional knowledge. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dharmasena. Yes, please unshare your presentation. You may unshare your presentation.
Yes, I am doing that, but
Yes.
all right, okay, right.
So thank you very much, Dr. Dharmasena, for that very elaborate account of the traditional knowledge practices, especially pertaining to agriculture, food security, and forest. Actually, all three presentations just feed into each other. There are so many questions in the chat box, but first of all, I would like to pose a question to all three of you, actually, and you may answer, according to your relevance. One thing is that, Dr. Mr. Nishant Idrisinghe talked about the forest, and not so much on this the ruling aspect of forest, but then that forest should really penetrate the boundaries to the village, so that it should really be a source of sustenance for people. And he especially mentioned about the non-timber forest products and then the food. I would like to ask, there were some questions also in the chat books along those lines as to what are the barriers that you experience, because you yourself know that not only barriers, but then the opportunities also, because we know that in the national determined contributions that we submitted as a country to the UNFCCC from 2021 to 2030, that we pledged that we'll increase the forest cover to 32% of the country's land area, and at the moment it's 29.2. Of course, we need to expand our forest estate. And perhaps forest means not only the forest or the trees, which is under the jurisdiction of the forest department, but forest is the conglomeration of trees. The 29.2, of course, is what is managed by the forest department and also the Department of Wildlife Conservation. But we are thinking a little beyond that. even from Mr. Nishanta's presentation, what he said was that, that how forest trees can really ensure sustenance of the beings, and also to ensure that all these commitments is being realized. So I would like to pose a question to Mr. Nishant Singh, who's really working very hard to bridge this gap, I know, and I really appreciate it on behalf of all of us. What are the barriers that you experience, and how could we break them to achieve our wider target of increasing, enhancing the forest estate, as well as being a source of sustenance to our people, and especially on the day of the International Forest, talking about forest and foods. That means food security. I think it's very topical. So maybe Mr. Nishant can answer that question, and then I will pose my questions to the other speakers. Mr. Nishant, over to you.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much for that question. I think it's very difficult question to answer, because you know that we have around 29.2% forest cover. In addition to that, there are forest plantations, the commercial forest plantations. So the main problem here we have faced is the encroachment of forest areas by rural people, landless people. To control it, we have to do the demarc. We have to do many things. One is the demarcation of forest boundaries. When we demarcate the forest boundaries, we have to do it very participatory manner. Otherwise, our boundary will not be sustainable. People might change it, or people might object uh, to, to demarcating forest boundaries. Therefore, we have to think about the people and about the forest. So we have to consult the people. That is a very challenging thing. So the other one, why people encroach forest areas? Mostly that is because of the poverty, and they need food, they need money to live. Therefore, these people if there are no options for their livelihoods, they have to encroach forest areas. So then our duty is to improve the livelihood of the people. That we can do. We follow different methods to do that. One main thing is that nature-based tourism. Through the nature-based tourism, what we do, we try to improve the livelihood of local people. Then we provide employment opportunities for them, so that by that way we have to improve their livelihood. And the other one is this one that I have mentioned, the allow people to collect non-timber forest product from forests. Therefore, that also gives some employment opportunities and some value, some revenue to the local people. So, in addition, we have many more things that we sometimes we do agroforestry management, agroforestry systems. Agroforestry models we have, we practice with them local people. That is so by that way we try to improve the livelihood of the local people, and we do the physical protection by demarcating the forest boundaries, and we use our law, forest law, to control encroachments of the encroachment of forests. So that these are the main things that we do. It is very challenging. We have to think about the forest and both the people. So that is the main thing that we are doing to stop penetration of people to forest areas. I think if you normally the forest and the population increment of the population is a very uh, very difficult task to control. When the people, the population density is increased, there will be pressure on forest. So in Sri Lanka, the population density is around 340 persons per square kilometer. And we are maintaining 29, and they have more than 75% forest cover with 400 people per square kilometer. And Korea, they have 63% forest cover with more than 400 persons per square kilometer. The next is Sri Lanka. We manage 30% forest cover with the 340 persons per square kilometer. And rest of the other countries, their population, some countries they have more forest but less population density, and some countries they have more population density but less forest. So Sri Lanka is in the group of uh, Korea, South Korea, and Japan as bigger countries. There are some small island nations. Their forest cover is around. There are some 8 island countries. Their forest cover is higher than and forest cover and their population density is higher. But there are small countries, not the nations. There are small islands in the Oceania. So that means in that case we try our best to manage the forest cover in the increasing population, with the increasing population. That's what we are doing now.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nishant. That's a very uphill task and a very noble one. It's happy to note that many people help you, help our government, including FAO. So, Mr. Nalin, there are so many questions directed towards you. My question is in relation to most of them. You mentioned that, y'all are really working on the increasing the food security, leaving no one behind. Not only that, but ensuring that ecosystem services are also sustained at the highest level while doing so. Dr. Dharmasena mentioned a host of traditional knowledge practices, especially in agriculture and natural resource management. So one would think that they are not practicing it anymore, and they are age-old practices. And also you mentioned about the modern agriculture, the climate smart agriculture, and also there was a question about AI related agriculture, and also there were questions about whether you are using not only traditional knowledge but also the research knowledge, which is prevalent internationally also, especially including the urban agriculture as well, into your current programs. So it is a very uphill task, because in a country like Sri Lanka, and also where this traditional knowledge is very rich, and also although we are an agricultural country, we are really having a very plush forest, tropical forest, which needs to be conserved, which agriculture cannot happen at the expense of that. So, there are so many opportunities as well as limitations. And I know that, you all are increasingly enhancing the different type of programs on agriculture, not only as per se agriculture, but on a larger landscape approach. So please detail us what are your plans to integrate all this so that like no one is left behind, nothing is left behind badly, so that everybody is winning, right? The environment, the agriculture, the livelihoods, everybody is winning. So that is your approach. So please tell us how you do it. And not only how, but what are the challenges that you encounter and how you overcome them. Mr. Nali?
Yeah, okay. So you asked more than 10, 15 questions altogether in one. I don't know how to answer. Maybe I'll grasp the real substance of all this, basically to address some of the challenges, what we do and what exactly needs to be done in the country. So I'll answer so that some of the questions that participants have asked right now, so that I can answer a couple of them as well together. So as I told earlier, we all understand that the population is increasing, right? The demand for food is also increasing. The variety, the change, challenges are also increasing. Only thing that is not increasing is the land. And that is where we have, taken this discussion on land management. So without managing the land, you simply can't improve the productivity, the unit per, or the actually, yield per acre, yield per hectare. So it's the productivity, units in terms of, say, the mathematical way that you looked at. So anyways, so how do we overcome these challenges? I know, and the climate change impacts the degradation of land, right? Unsustainable farming methods. These are all adding negative impacts further and further onto our limited land that we have. Hence, we really need to balance these, So how to balance the both say environmental, protection, sustainable utilization of resources, at the same time producing enough food to feed the nation. Now, these all have to come in the same equation. Therefore, we need to see a balance between all. And then only you really can bring the issues, or maybe I would say the new ways of bringing this, the problem in terms of reforestation, eco-friendly agribusinesses, ecosystem protections. These all needs to come together. There was a very clear question here. How do we bring these traditional knowledge practices? Obviously, I too fully in agreement with Dr. Dharmasena, we cannot simply ignore them. But we need to understand where we need to practice it. Now, we have this smallholder agriculture and at the same time commercial agriculture. When it comes to commercial large scale, there are difficulties in bringing traditional systems to the forefront. But this is why we still need to value the small holding sector of this country. As far as I know, as far as you know, in most of the agriculture industry sectors in this country, still the smallholder contribution is always higher. Let it be, say, paddy, you mention it as coconut, you mention it as tea, rubber, the same understanding. So it's the smallholder who brings the majority, over 60-70% to the total production. And that is where the traditional practices still could be basically, addressed and, sort of brought in. But one thing we need to understand, we need to bring technologies. We need to bring innovations. And without bringing these such, I simply don't know how to bring the traditional practices to ever, increasing demands, to meet the ever increasing demand and ever increasing, challenges. So we need to understand this platform in particular. We have a number of new thinking, new understanding, and new technologies that have come on board in order to address or to integrate smallholder farmers and communities, into this particular equation. I think, we need to strengthen or even establish farmer cooperatives, produce organizations, which we had earlier, but now lost in the recent past. We need to bring them back. We need to bring soft micro loans, but which are really competitive, not that cheap in the marketplace, right? Capacity building training, not just classroom, but mostly field-based. And that is why FAO is always using farmer field school approach, even now into the business. So farmer business school now. It's not just farmer field school. right? Now we can bring technologies even here now. We can use LMS, learning management systems to train farmers, which we have done recently. We have trained over, say, if I can remember, it's 97,000 farmers. We have just trained on IPNM techniques, say, good agricultural practices, climate smart agricultural practices, all on all these topics. They got trained and they are using it. They have got results even. So these are some of the ways you can bring, and also you need to bring policy makers, decision makers to the field level. They need to understand that agriculture is no more a subsistence level, industry. It has to be entrepreneurial. It has to be, market oriented. We need to bring innovations, technologies to bring them onto this particular, agenda. Precision farming, which we really need to use, which optimizes resource usage, and say balancing agroecology, which enhance biodiversity, and at the same time climate smart agriculture, which could bring or build resilience. Now these innovations always improve yields, and it reduces environmental impact, and it promotes long-term sustainability. Varietal branding is a must. It's high time that we bring the real environment and the markets for our own varieties. The red rice is a OCOP, or one country one priority product in terms of Sri Lanka for FAO and for the world, right? We can bring global level indication for it, just like for cinnamon, and we get the best red rice coming from the Hambantota district of this country, which is unique for us. So we need to get the value, the rich, understanding, rich benefits of such into the global market levels. And that is where the smallholder farmer who gets better access, better knowledge, and better recognition in the marketplace, right? So likewise, I can speak a lot on all these, areas to bring AI. There was a question on how do we bring AI technologies, no? Yes, we can. Now, this precision agriculture, smart farming are part and parcel of AI technologies, right? Then AI-based early warning systems. FAO is developing, the anticipatory action triggers to understand well in advance on the damage impact that both droughts and floods could bring to farmers of this country. These are needed right now. Other countries have already used them, right? Agricultural stress index systems, climate patterns, soil degradation trends, pest outbreaks. These are all important areas where farmers should have enough knowledge well in advance as early warnings, early systems. Digital advisory platforms, mobile applications, these are all being tested now right away through interoperability framework that we are trying to bring with the government right now. So I'll stop at this moment, but then I'm more than happy to answer anybody's questions, maybe not in this forum, but in future forums as well. Happy to discuss on all these important areas that this country, the agriculture sector needs. Thanks, Professor Hemanti.
Yeah. Can I ask a question, Mr. Mulsinga, from you?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. This regarding we were discussing about food forest. So, are there any programs to grow and plant to create an urban food forest? So earlier we discussed rural people invading forest. So can we invade cities, urban areas by forest, making a food forest, like planting jack trees, food generator trees like breadfruit,
Urban agriculture
mangoes,
mainly.
yeah. And then we can. Are there any programs from FAO?
Urban agriculture is another important area. In fact, very recently, we had a couple of programs. We tested some of the models, especially vertical agriculture systems. Even, in Maligawa, the flats, we did some projects, even right now, today, if you go to certain, beneficiaries, they are still using them. And they have some food, some vegetables, some, items that are already always grown in their, say, flats, in vertical structures. So there are a number of such initiatives. We have, selected 3 schools, and we just developed 3 models. If you go to, if I can remember, one is what do you call it? Thurston College, the Bandaranaike College, and also one is at Maligawa, some Sangamita College, if I can remember. So if you go there, you really see them happening. So we are trying to, bring such models among students first, and they take this message to their parents and to the relevant or other nearby neighborhoods. And these are some of the good models we can try out in terms of urban agriculture. But to answer your urban forest, food forest, why not? It is always important, and I'm sure some of the private sector companies have started, right? I think Mr. Nishanta might be able to tell you they have given some areas to the private sector to bring such models. FAO is ready. We also can further work with say any interested group. We can discuss. So if you are interested, just let us know so that we can sit and discuss on a small program to bring more partners together and come up with a couple of new models, especially on these urban forestries. Thank you.
Yeah, I would like to make a suggestion. There are plenty of lands in Vihar Mahadevi Park and Independence Square, the free area. Now food and fruits are very unaffordable for the poor people. So if we grow fruits and other food generative plants in those areas, people freely can access to those. Are there such a model you all can implement?
That's what I said. Like, yeah,
yeah.
currently FAO directly do not have a project or a program started, but if there is an interest coming from the government through UDA, so obviously we can think of such, but then we also need to think of the sustainability, suitability, right? And we need to run it, conduct an impact assessment first, feasibility, and then, to look into, because I mean, I don't think that, keep planting trees everywhere on food, then we also need to address certain other problems thereafter. So, but your idea is very well valid, and there are cities in the world who have such, belts being created. So obviously we can think of the most suitable areas, suitable patches and belts, and then introduce the right varieties, especially perennials, and then go for this kind of a program. But one has to simply, need to come on board and look after it, because it has to be sustained. Even if you plant today, your products come only after 5 years, 10 years down the line. So you really need to discuss on this matter. But it's a possible intervention. We can simply think about it.
Yeah, there are a lot of rooftop gardens and also hydroponic systems where the urban agriculture can be promoted. I think certain things are happening at the moment, so we can maybe promote those as well. And in the meantime, Ministry of Environment World Food Program, they have initiated the introduction of lesser known foods and indigenous and traditional foods to tourism sector and the hotels. So I think that will also get some interest, and that will be a good promotive activity, so that there will be a good market for the people who grow these traditional and native food varieties. So like even that waraka, if you go to another country, we see them in all 5-star, in all the hotels, but in Sri Lanka, these native things doesn't come to the sector. So those things they have started promoting. I think that will also have some impact on promotion of these native foods.
Yes, thank you very much for those interventions, actually. And also, these participants had requested whether the resource personnel will share their contact information, because I think they also have lots of information to share with you. So if you like, please do it. Your email and telephone numbers so that they can continue this dialogue with you. And also, lastly, of course, we talked a lot. We know that although we have a very rich culture, a tradition, maybe because of this increasing demands, which are really high, perhaps we might need to reface it, maybe so that, the demand will match the supply. So what do you think on those lines, especially what was discussed by Mr. Nalin and also Mr. Nishanta? Dr. Dharmasan, I would like to have your views on it, because especially as a practical solution, because we know we would like to exonerate our culture, our tradition, but now we are facing a situation where the needs are escalating and the land is limiting, like we rightly mentioned by Mr. Nalin. So we need to find solutions given that situation. But we all know that it's really these traditional solutions, maybe coupled with the modern ones, are really more sustainable than the purely scientific, purely modern ones. So how could we bridge this gap in a very practical, subtle, realistic way so that the government and the country can take it on directly? Over to you, Dr. Dharmasena, to share.
Thank you very much, Professor Ranasinghe, because you asked the question and answered it. And also, I should appreciate what Mr. Nalin Manasinghe told now, because he has covered a lot of things about traditional knowledge. No, the way that we have to think about traditional knowledge is that not the traditional knowledge itself should come into the stage and do whatever the practice that they have done in the past. It's not that one. For example, I will tell you that I also told that we had 2,242 traditional rice varieties. We call land races, right? Don't take it as it is. We tried to find medicinal rice. You know that because of our food systems, food habits, we had a lot of health problems. Now, to address that, what we need is not to promote all these traditional varieties, but some medicinal varieties which are having a lot of nutrients, then some, you know that the glycemic index is very low in this, and antioxidant values are there, so that we have to extract them and utilize. So that is the way that we have to promote traditional knowledge, not as it is. The other one is, for example, we have a lot of different agricultural systems and also agricultural farms. Can we convert all these to agro ecosystems? That is what we need. That is why we are ensuring sustainability. That is there. So forget about traditional knowledge. We take all agro ecosystems like rubber, tea, coconut, and also paddy. Paddy, you may remember, Professor Hemanti, we have done a very good exercise in preparing strategic plans for carbon net zero by 2050. Yes, we have introduced a lot of things. Those are based on traditional knowledge. That's my short answer. I think it will satisfy a lot of people who are asking, especially Professor Niranjani asked also same question. Yes,
Actually, even thank you very much, Dr. Dharmasena. I think the whole world is now looking at nature-based solutions because we are now a little tired of finding all these very modern solutions to our answers, to our issues, and the world is now looking back at more nature-based solutions. So our traditional knowledge, our nature-based systems, which are really more close to nature, has a lot of potential. I think that is the real, real take-home message. I would think even that's what Mr. Nishant also mentioned. That's what Mr. Nalin also mentioned, although their programs are international, and with a lot of partners, but finally they are really based on these land-based solutions where adequate integration of modern and traditional knowledge to find the real nature-based solutions, which are really more sustainable, is the key. So actually, I feel that I was debating as to share a small experience with you, but in the interest of time, but I think I have to. It may not be entirely relevant, but my cousin brother, just 1 month back, he was really dying because of pneumonia. And he really could not breathe, and he was taken to the hospital, and he was on oxygen, almost like a ventilator. But still, after 5 days, I mean, the situation didn't improve. So anyway, he was so adamant that no, I have to go home. And so actually, I took him home in an ambulance with oxygen. And even the ambulance man said, how are you going to survive without oxygen at home? But anyway, that was his wish. But he resorted to a very simple traditional medical practitioner, some very small concoctions. And now he's really who he was before he got the illness. He's really he is normal. The disease has just disappeared. Small concoctions and maybe some diet prescriptions, but I mean, I'm not saying that it is the thing, but it happened. I was a miracle. And why? Only the traditional medical attention. So,
Yes.
I mean, I could not believe it, but I had to believe it because he's just there, so strong and, healthy after 1 month.
Yes, these jack leaves are now taken for diabetic patients, jack leaves. So at the eBay, 20 leaves are sold at $5. So there's a big market for jack leaves. So likewise, as you said, madam, there are a lot of potential for these medicinal plants, as Professor said also.
And in a day and an era where we are now talking again about our own traditional resources, I think I just thought that I'll share this experience with you. So we need to really, have more attention on our own traditional heritage, not only in foods, but in everything, even lifestyles, which really will reduce the menace of climate change also. It's all our lifestyles. And if we just continue our normal business as usual lifestyles, so whatever said and done, whatever modern interventions may not be able to keep up. So thank you very much. I would like to end this because it's been almost 2 hours, but it was very enriching. And it really was like some kind of a, discussion. I mean, not like presentations, and we are listening to it. So, a big thank you on behalf of the Institute of Environmental Professionals to these wonderful 3 speakers who gave their very best to this webinar, to this Institute of Environmental Professionals. And I know most of them, especially Mr. Nishant and Ms. Nalin, they were traveling. I mean, they just sent all these presentations while they were in vehicles and, around the country. But still, they shared everything. They were here, they are here, and I'm really so thankful. And also thankful for these participants, not only from Sri Lanka, but from abroad, who really waited even after 2 long hours. I mean, we have not reduced the number of participants, and also your questions are so encouraging. And I know that you want to continue this conversation, not only with us, but with our esteemed resource personnel also.